Hey there, listeners. Welcome back to Podcast Demastered. I am your host, Wade, and I am here with just Chelsea this evening. Ethan is not feeling too great this weekend, so we let him off the hook. Although I think he'll be sad that he's missing our topic today, but we'll do a second one if we need to. That's okay. Today we are going to talk about anime, all things anime. I don't think there's a way to pinpoint specifically what we're going to talk about, unless you think you can, Chelsea.
Well, I think we're going to focus specifically on TV shows and save probably movies for another time.
Oh, excellent. At some point, listeners, we have a spectacular Miyazaki episode planned for you.
Yes.
We'll get there someday. We don't know when it's going to be, but it's coming. We promise it's coming. So today, specifically just TV shows, just where we started, what we're watching now, what our favorites are, things like that. Well, Miss Chelsea, would you like to start?
Sure. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Anime.
Where to start?
Where to start? I mean, I think the one that honestly pops in my head where I got my start, Pokemon.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Started it all.
I can't disagree.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know. I tried thinking about like how I actually started watching it, and I have no idea. I just know it was on after school, and it was just I would watch TV after school for a bit, and that just happened to be on, and I really got hooked.
You got to watch Pokemon after school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dang, I always had to wake up like stupid early in the morning to watch Pokemon.
Oh.
back when it was originally airing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think my thing was, while Pokemon was there at the start, I remember like running home every day with my older sister. And if we got home right after school, because we lived like 2 blocks from the school at that time, we would watch Dragon Ball, followed by Sailor Moon.
Ah.
And that was the thing. We had to get home as soon as we could, so we didn't miss any of Dragon Ball or Sailor Moon.
Now, I will say I have never actually watched Sailor Moon.
Oh.
It's one of those shows that I was never really quite interested in. I don't know. I was like, no.
I think it was the transformation sequences for me. And the catchy as heck opening. We can't deny the power of that song.
What about anime openings in general? Man, there's some good ones.
I could make a list a mile long, I think.
I know.
Actually, in fact, maybe I will. Maybe that's what our social media will be all week.
Yes. Wade's
favorite openings and endings and oh god.
There's so many. I feel like that's like a very interesting thing, especially with anime. I mean, sometimes you see it with like, you know, American shows and stuff where sometimes they'll change up like the theme. Maybe a season or 2 down the line, but for anime, it's like a thing for like almost like the different arcs and everything of stories. It's a whole different opening and closing.
Yeah, like in Japan, like it like permeates the media. It's a big deal. Like who gets to sing the next opening or closing of this show? Who gets to do this? Who are you going to hear next? You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy, and there really isn't anything here that kind of fits the bill. It's just not the same.
No. But I definitely have some of the like themes and everything. Like I've definitely purchased some of them over the years and listened to them nonstop.
I am also guilty of this. Absolutely.
Oh, be proud. We don't have to be guilty of this. Listening to great music.
I'm proud of everything I do. I love myself. I like the whole guilty pleasures episode we do. I don't have guilty pleasures because I like everything that I like, and I'm not really ashamed of it.
And that is a great
right?
Yes. Well, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, Pokemon was definitely my starting point, and I don't know, I think it was kind of honestly a little bit later on, probably like middle school, high school, where I started to dive in and watch a couple different other ones. I think one of the biggest ones I watched during that time was Bleach.
Bleach. Oh, yes. Bleach. You can't escape it.
No. I love the characters so much in that show.
Yes. Yes.
That was like,
Do you have a favorite captain?
oh my gosh. Oh, what a question. There's so
That's
many.
a hard
Oh, that
question.
is, yes. I just was surprised with how much I like the characters in that show. And that's what I kept coming back to was like the characters. Honestly, some of the very prolonged fight scenes, I would just kind of fast forward through because I'm like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
nothing's going to happen this part of this episode. You guys are just going to be standing there.
Got the Dragon Ball Z syndrome going on.
Yes. But I definitely, actually, I still have it today. I have a little stuffed animal cone.
Aww.
I love cone.
Every show's got to have a mascot.
Yes. Inappropriate mascots of that, too.
And of course, they
Yep.
all have to be gross.
But yeah, that was definitely a show. I mean, that's okay. Talking about, so there's certain animes that are very short, and there are some, like Bleach, that are incredibly long.
Those shonen anime last forever.
Yes.
Like Naruto.
Isn't that still
Like
on?
Naruto. Well, it's changed. It's like the Naruto series proper has ended, and there was like a time skip, and then there's a new series about his son.
Oh.
But yes, technically, it's still
going
It's still going. It's not being written by the original author. Like somebody else says, he's like, "Hey, I want to do this," and that guy was like, "Okay, that's fine." But now I think that was kind of like my Bleach.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Bleach like all the time too, but I remember when Naruto was announced to finally be coming out in America. Like my friends and I, like we made an event about those like first. They played like the first 2 episodes, and like we were there, like full snacks, game night. Shut up, everybody! Naruto has started. Like, and it was like a weekly thing every Saturday night. You got to watch the new episode of Naruto. But that's very slow, and that's when I started getting into the world of illegally streaming anime off of sites. You know, like the fan dubs and stuff, the fan subs, I guess I should say. And I flew through that series. Good God. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. It's like, oh, way back then. It makes it seem so old, but I mean, definitely it's a whole different experience with a lot of these animes that we had to wait forever
Yeah.
for them to come, and they would be on at odd hours, and
Like, yeah, I mean, like,
it would
now
just...
you can just stream whenever you want, like, legally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so pleasant, but, like,
Yes.
back in our day, and even, like, we didn't even have it as rough as the people who came before us had it. But, you know, like, we had to find websites to watch what we wanted to and hope to God that the website was still there the next day. But, you know, like, I know, like, the generation before us, they actually had to get their VHS tapes, like, imported, where somebody had gone in and fan subbed it, like, on a VHS tape. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and I'm glad we didn't have to deal with that. But these days, you know, it's just so acceptable, for one. Like, I can have a full-blown anime conversation with a student, and, like, nobody bats an eye. But I think if a teacher back when we were in school had a conversation with me about it, everybody would have been like, wait, what? Like, not even in, like, a cool way. They would have been like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, it's very different. It was also definitely seen as, like, yes, a very, very specific, like, subset, very, very nerdy of just, like, these, like, people who somehow knew about this, like, elusive thing.
Yeah.
But it was very popular, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, speaking of, like, being hard to watch, going back to that quickly, I would also, like, whenever they would, like, import the, like, DVD copies and stuff of all the episodes, I would always get those, but those are so expensive. They were so expensive at the time.
They're so expensive. Oh my gosh.
I would save up my money to get those. I definitely own most of the Bleach ones, and I would get them at Borders with my, like, 40 or 50% off coupons, but still, that was
So
still.
you're talking about like the original releases, right? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, here's the next 4 or 5 episodes, and
Yeah,
you have to wait 3 more months. Here's the next 4 or 5 episodes, and they're like $20 a piece.
mm-hmm.
Like, good
Yeah.
God, I did that with Dragon Ball Z, but with the videotapes.
Mm.
Ugh,
I had to give up. It was just too much money. And also, I never
it
honestly watched
was.
every single episode of Bleach because it was just too much to handle.
There's some episodes of Bleach that's totally okay to skip, like the
Yeah.
entire Bound arc.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the third
First,
season, I
yeah.
think, something like that. Fourth season,
Oh,
maybe.
yes. That was awful. The first 2 seasons are excellent.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they leave the Soul Society for the first time, and they start this, oh God, this awful Bound arc. It's like the first filler arc God ever created, and you're just like, nope, skip it. If there's nothing worthwhile in there, skip it.
Yeah, because it wasn't even. I thought it wasn't even based on anything in the manga. It was considered filler
Mm.
because they were trying to like wait for all the manga to come out, and
Yeah.
then actually I did hear so they're bringing the anime back to complete the whole. To complete all the like to catch up with all the manga. It's supposed to actually come out later this year. I think probably in
It
Japan,
is,
but
it looks pretty cool. But like, I don't know what's going on in the Bleach manga anymore. Like the manga ended the first time, and I was like, like they beat Aizen.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, that was a beautiful ending. Like, this is so cool. And then, like, a year later or something, the guy's like, nah, I want to do more. So here's, like, a small time skip. And now we're going to keep going. And I'm like, I couldn't keep up with that. So I
Yeah,
stopped trying. And then he ended it again.
yes,
And then he's just like, no, I'm going to keep going again. And then they're like, here's 10 years later or whatever. Like, they have kids now.
yeah. I
So
think
we'll
that's the
keep going
actual ending.
again. Yeah, he's like, no, I have to like do a real ending, and I don't know. I'm so lost now.
Yeah. Well,
Ichigo's got like 10 power ups since then, and I just don't know.
no, that's very accurate. Well, thanks to streaming, you can eventually catch up. So,
That sounds awful. I'm an old man. I don't have time for the long anime anymore.
yeah, 10 years later, finally to
Yeah.
episode 30.
Take me forever.
Well, yeah, that was definitely a longer one. So, do you have any shorter ones that you prefer? Any ones you enjoy or that you?
Oh gosh, over the years, my list of like completed anime has grown to such a number. Because in middle school and high school, watching it was so easy. I could get through episodes and episodes after school every day. Even in college, like
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't the same amount of time, but like I found it, and I could still just watch a ton. But these days, like as a teacher, like if we're in the middle of the school year, oh boy, I do during the school year I do better rewatching stuff that I've seen before because I don't particularly have to pay attention to it. I can like
Mm-hmm.
do work in the background. But there is one that I do rewatch at least once a year. An anime that I do rewatch once a year that is fairly short. It's only 2 seasons long. And it's the anime is Code Geass.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, but I have not
Okay.
seen it. Yes.
Oh, it's pretty good. Like it's hard to say. It's kind of like a Gundam Fighter in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are like Gundams that they use called Nightmares, but it takes place in like an alternate history where like the world's timeline happened all the way up to the point of the Revolutionary War, except like Ben Franklin like basically sold America to back to the mainland. Like he betrayed everybody. So America lost the Revolutionary War. But then like some stuff happened like years later, stuff happened in Europe, and the royal family actually had to escape over to the Americas, which is, part of Britain now, to escape whatever. I can't remember what happened. It's not terribly important. But, and so it takes place in the year like 2007, I think. And it follows the story of a boy, Lelouch, he is a prince of Britannia, which is what they call it now.
Oh, okay.
He's like the 99th prince or something, because King Charles is a playa, and he has a lot of children. Like, he has like a whole army of wives and stuff, whatever. But Lelouch and his little sister they were banished because their mom died, and as a child, Lelouch was like trying to blame the king. The king was like, whatever, you can be a political hostage in Japan. But during this timeline, like at this time, the king was all about like trying to enslave basically the rest of the human race. Like, if you're not British, you are like if we conquer your country, you are not a person anymore. If that's ringing any bells, like they do take over Japan, and they're not the Japanese anymore. Everything gets replaced with a number. They're Area 11, and instead of the Japanese, they're the 11s. So it's kind of a story about racism, all sorts of elitism, kind of classist. But basically, Lelouch gets this special power where he can tell somebody to do something, and they have to do it. And so he's like, I'll just get revenge on Britannia. I'll burn it all to the ground, and I'll create a better world. So it's kind of like it. I know have you seen Death Note?
Oh yes, I have definitely seen Death Note.
It's kind of like Death Note, where he's like, I'll become the villain so that I can create a better world. But it's better than Death Note because Lelouch doesn't wimp out in the end and die like a bitch, like Light does. It's 2 seasons. It's excellent. It has a lot of really good lore, tons of good character building. It's so freaking good.
It actually, that sounds really, really good. I was like, hey, you're hating on Death Note. I do really like Death Note.
Oh, I could never hate on Death Note. I hate on L. I mean, no, not L. He's a sweet angel.
Oh.
Not Light. I will hate on Light every day of the week because he's a punk-ass bitch. And he didn't deserve what he had. So the way he went out, I was like, yeah, you deserve that. Lelouch, though, I won't spoil anything because his ending is so much better than Light's. Okay. But, you know, it's very, like, political, lots of drama. I mean, there's some less serious stuff in it from time to time, but it is a big drama. You know, if you miss an episode, you're going to be completely lost, you know, kind of thing. There's a lot of plot, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. That totally sounds like up my alley and everything. I love hearing about different, new shows and stuff, and I'll definitely add that to my list. And I think that's actually brings up an interesting kind of like thought on anime. I feel like for some people, there's almost this kind of idea of what they think anime is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and that I'm just like, anime is more than I think people realize, especially people who aren't familiar, that just because you can have, you know, which I think for any like animation in general, there's always like, you know, those lighthearted things or, you know, just like comedy-esque elements, but it's just like any other storytelling medium where you can have these really intricate stories talking about classism and everything. And I mean, it seems like, you know, that's the type of anime that pulls you in. I think something that, you know, what keeps you coming back to anime.
Yeah, it's so, you know, like we've discussed all sorts of forms of escapism and stuff. And anime really does that. Like, growing up, there's so many people who are like, oh, you like anime? Like, anime's for kids. Why don't you just grow up? And I'm always like, I'll show you some shows that will prove you wrong on that. Like, have you ever seen Neon Genesis Evangelion? You haven't? Okay, well, let's see how you feel after watching that one. You know, like, just because something's animated doesn't mean it can't have a more mature or dark or horrific even storyline, you know.
Yes.
If people grow up to be a parent who's like, oh, it's an anime? Oh, that's fine for my kids. Go watch whatever you want. Ooh. Oh, dear. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Going to traumatize some children.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah. For me, yeah, like anime in general, I absolutely love animation. I love anything animated. it's just something that just draws me in, and I just love all the different stories people tell through this. And I think, yeah, exactly, like you're saying, like, yeah, anime is not just like just a kids thing and everything. There's just so many unique stories, and I definitely feel like, especially like from our viewpoint about living in the United States, that anime almost introduced people to like the so-called darker side of animation, showing that there can be those adult topics, adult themes,
Hmm.
that it's more than just a kids thing. And I feel like that's kind of influenced, more almost mainstream in America, having different animations stories that are more than just a very simplistic story for children.
Right.
I just also like that it kind of introduces you to the Japanese culture in some ways, anime does.
It is. And even like today, I try to watch anime today. I don't get to much. Um, but like I have a small list of stuff I'm trying to get through, or stuff that I've fairly recently. Like there's one on Netflix that I've attempted to get through several times. It's a few seasons long, I think. So I try to watch it all in one go, and then it's months and months before I get to come back to it. And I'm like, oh crap, I made it through like a season and a half. It's fine, I'll just start over. And that is Kakegurui. I think that's what it's called. It's on Netflix. It's about a school that deals with gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one of those ones where it's like it's not necessarily inappropriate, but it has some like more edgier stuff. It's like, oh wow, okay. But like, and that also deals with lots of classist, lots of classist things.
Mm-hmm.
You either have money or you have lost it all gambling, and you're basically like a student slave. But like the main character is just such, like, she is not like the goody goody necessarily. She's addicted to the art of gambling, so win or lose, like she doesn't really care. Um, and it's like the animation. Oh my gosh, the animation is so strong. It's so good.
Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, I'll stay on the topic of like a slightly darker anime. One of them that I really enjoy is Darker Than Black. Are you
Darker
familiar
than
with
black.
that?
Yeah. It's been a
Yes.
long time, but yes.
Yeah. I know, I will admit it's been a long time since I have rewatched it, but for those who are listening, now this is one that was kind of hard for me to think about how to describe. It's basically there's this weird like thing that appears on Earth called Hell's Gate, and then certain people gain like psychic abilities, and then these people kind of don't really have a soul or something, and are sent to hunt people down. And you kind of just follow these groups of people with these psychic abilities.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience. I know, I liked it. And then of course I have another darker one that follows that, that's Psychopaths.
I was thinking of Psychopaths as you were describing.
Yes. I definitely love Psychopaths a lot more than Darker Than Black.
It's
But
so it's like the setting, like the premise behind Psychopaths is so cool.
yes.
Like people can like scan your brain to like pick up your like intent and stuff. So
Hmm.
there's like the police force that, like, if you're about to commit a crime or like do something, like they know it because they can like see it like in your brain. Like that's also been a long time since I've seen
Yeah.
that.
It's similar to the Tom Cruise movie Minority Report.
It is. It
But
absolutely
cooler.
is. But
Yes.
cooler. That's
Yes, with a
correct.
little bit more, in depth to like the different characters and stuff. But yes, it's that cyberpunk psychological thriller. I really am drawn to that.
It's so good though, like the characters and like the gasp moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Um,
that show has it all.
one of my like sillier but still kind of dark anime
Hmm.
that again I'll watch it. I can just cycle through this one over and over again. Is Black Butler.
I've heard of that one, but I have not seen it.
Oh, it's I can't really describe. It takes place in like Victorian England.
Hmm.
Or this boy, Sebastian. No, not Sebastian, that's the butler. CL, there we go. CL, he basically sells his soul to a demon
Hmm.
in order to get like revenge on something vague that has like killed his family. but he's like the heir to like an earldom, I think is what it is. So like he's well taken care of. They had like he has like a giant manor and servants and stuff. But then Sebastian, the butler, is the demon. And he can do like he's supernatural, you know. But and he can do anything. Like his talents are just relentless. He can take place of the entire manor by himself, all while feeding and caring for little Ciel, who's like his family runs a toy factory. That's like his above ground job, but he is also like a detective / enforcer for the queen, where he'll like investigate and look into like darker like black markety kind of things. While like the overall plot is ongoing and building as you learn about like Ciel's past and stuff, but like the butler Sebastian is like he's just terrific. He's like it's like very like campy kind of.
That's fun.
But it's a fun one. There's nothing bad I could say about Black Butler.
Oh. Yeah, I'm like, I have one that's on an even lighter note that I just am like, oh, it's, you know, it has those deep, you know, kind of darker moments, but it's also just so sweet and bubbly, and Fruits Basket is what it is.
Okay, so I have never actually seen Fruits Basket. It's been in my like anime worldview since like time began, but I've just never actually sat down and watched it. It's up there with like Ouran High School Host Club. It's always been there, but I've just never watched it.
Yeah, I've read all the manga, and I've only watched the original anime, because I know they came out with the newer one. I think it has at least 2 seasons. It was a couple years ago, and that one actually
That sounds right.
more closely follows the manga and actually probably ends where the manga ends, because the original series just kind of ends, and I'm like, hey, there's more to the story here.
Done.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, those characters are likable and silly and cute, and just, you know, it's a lot of baggage in that family and a lot of trauma, but...
Well, like, that's... With those kinds of animes, they get so lighthearted and fun, and you just love all the characters, but then, like, as you go deeper into the show, there's always some, like, dark past, or, like, there's always something that makes you just want to, like, cry with the characters.
Yes.
Like, have you ever heard of Clannad?
No, I have not.
It's been so long since I've watched it, but it's one of those like slice of life, you know, students going to high school kind of thing. Nothing terribly supernatural or anything, but there is like a supernatural like background kind of, but it's not like a known thing. It's more of like a narration kind of thing. But like the art is so cute and bubbly and bright and shiny. It's so cool, but then like it's one of those like it's a harem thing too, where you know the main boy meets all these different girls who have different backstories, and they join a club together or whatever, and at the end he has to pick one kind of thing. You know, it's been ages, but like the ending was incredibly heavy and depressing. And I'm not even sure where you can watch it these days. But, I mean, that was, like, gosh, that must have been high school, I think.
Yeah. Now, did you ever watch any anime that were sports themed?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, there's one I watched with my sisters, and we got really into it. It was hilarious that we got into it.
Which one was it?
Prince of Tennis.
Like the original.
Yes.
I read I didn't watch it, but a long bajillion years ago, I did get the Shonen Jump magazines every month, mostly for the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But But I read it, paid like cover to cover every single month, and Prince of Tennis was in it for a long time. So I did read it, like a lot of it. I can't tell you what happens, but I did read it.
Yeah, it's just, about the young guy who just wants to be the greatest tennis player ever. But speaking of, yeah, the magazines and stuff, I didn't read shonen, but I read the shoujo beat.
Yeah, shoujo beat.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I Shonen Jump was there for me mostly because I wanted those Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah. I was just excited to get that in the mail and stuff. I mean, there were definitely stories in that I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't really care, but it's fun to read about the different things, different.
If you did Shoujo Beat, does that mean that you read Vampire Knight?
Yes. I did. But have I seen
I forgot about Vampire Knight.
But I have not seen the anime yet.
Oh, see, I watched the anime, but I've never read the manga. Mm-hmm. But at the time, back in the edgy early 2000s, when everybody's dark and whiny,
Man,
I did really like it.
Yeah. No, that's the vampire stuff I was obsessed with during that time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't into Twilight.
Yeah. It's all about vampires.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
All your pretty boys fighting over the main girl.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh man, yeah.
Speaking of manga, do you have any other things that like specifically the manga you really liked?
That then I watched the anime of?
Or not even like I never saw the anime, but I really liked the manga.
That is a good question. There was definitely a couple manga I liked. Wow, it's been a long time. And I was like, I don't even remember some of the stories. But yeah, they definitely I don't think ever had an anime, or the anime was never like widely released. Mm-hmm. One of them, the manga was called Lovecom.
You got me there.
Stood for lovely.
Yeah, you got me there. Go ahead.
Yeah, since for Lovely Complex, it was about the really tall girl and the really short boy, and they were like the comedians at their school, and it's a love story. They end up falling for each other.
Aww.
Yes. It was funny. That one's actually a shorter manga. I think it's only like 17 volumes. So
that's not too bad.
Definitely ones. Oh, I also, because I read the shoujo beat, so that had a skip beat in it, which basically was about this. Are you familiar with that one?
It's a blast from the past, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know much about it, but like I remember the name.
Yeah. She was really good friends with this guy who was going to become like a famous rocker, and then he basically was like, haha, I'm leaving you, I don't like you, I just basically used you as a maid. And she's like, I'll show him, I'm going to get my revenge and be the greatest actress there ever was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just so funny. You get a lot of like insight into her mind and stuff, and she has like a little angel and like demon on her shoulder, pretty much like telling her to like do crazy things or trying to be the best actress. It's just so random, so much fun drama. That's some of my manga experience there.
There we all got it.
Mm-hmm.
We have the good ones, we have the cringy ones. It's what we all live with.
It's all good fun. What about you?
It is all good fun. Let's see if I. Oh, okay. There is a current anime that I watch that is kind of cringe because it's like, it makes me shake my head, but because it's a little inappropriate with like how it does things. But it's Food Wars.
I've heard of that.
Like, the first time I watched the first episode of Food Wars, and it's like this boy, he's like, oh, I'm going to go to this major, like, culinary school so I can, like, come back to my family, like, run little street restaurant and, like, be amazing. Because he is, like, he's already, like, stupid good. It's one of those anime where he's already, like, really good.
That sounds great.
And it's like he serves food that's so good that it, like... It sends people into, like, orgasm, basically. Strips them of clothes. Like, it's very dramatic. It's, like, the entire show. And it's just, like, it makes me laugh and shake my head. It's like, why?
It's very over the top, yeah.
Extremely over the top.
Oh,
it is
fun.
really good. Mm-hmm. Like, outside of that, it is really good. But it still gives me a really good laugh. I'll go back and rewatch it every so often. I'm just like, damn it. Like, why?
That's fun to have those ones that just give you that laugh and shakes your head.
Trying to think if there's any other ones that were just there because they were just so much fun. Oh, well, that's the opposite. That's not fun. That's emotional and devastating.
Oh.
Um,
We can get back to that unless you have another.
so these are more like current. I think they're all on Netflix right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, I think it's pretty short. It's like 10 episodes or something. It's called Violet Evergarden.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more like artsy, like the animation style, the shots that they do, just everything is just absolutely beautiful. I couldn't begin to explain it. It's not a very complicated one. Like there's a war. There's a little girl who's like raised from a young age to like basically be a weapon in the war. But the show takes place after the war, like so she's kind of grown. Her like arms were ripped off, like in the war, trying to save her like captain or something. And they've replaced her arms with these like mechanical like dealies.
Mm-hmm.
And so her captain who dies is like go back to like my hometown and just live a normal life because you don't know what that is because you've only ever been a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And so she learns like human emotion and how to like deal with people. She becomes a typewriter person. Like they write letters. They're called, I think they're called dolls. It's just like a company you hire to like write a letter to somebody, help you write a letter, because it's very like old school. Like cars are hardly a thing. So she becomes, because of her hand, she's really good at typing, but the emotion and the intent behind like writing a letter to somebody, she doesn't really understand. So it just kind of chronicles her working with all of these people to learn these different human emotions and their stories and how that applies to her new life. And it reflects on her old life and her captain that she fell in love with, but she like didn't know what that was and stuff. It's really, really sweet. And there's a lot of like really high emotion moments in it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Apparently Netflix has a lot of stuff to watch. I'm missing out.
They've like not everything they like
Mm-hmm.
put their logo on, I think, is like terrific. But they do have they do snatch up quite a few gems. They shock me sometimes. I'm like, wow, you got that? Like, dang, good for you.
Yeah. Do you have any other ones you want to talk about? Any other favorites?
Oh God, I mean,
ones to mention.
I have so many. I could ramble on for hours, I think. If you want to be traumatized, watch The Promised Neverland. That's some real trauma. Like, it's like, you know this movie. Grave of Fireflies.
Yes.
This show is kind of like Grave of Fireflies.
No.
Where you start here and things just kind of go down.
So beautiful,
and down,
terrible. Yeah.
and down, and down, and down. It's got 2 seasons, I think, but just watch the first one.
Okay.
Just watch the first one. You don't need to go into the second one. It's a full season by itself. The second season is a mess that like departs from the manga, and everybody hates it. But the first season, beautiful.
All right.
Yeah. So there you go. There's my recommendation.
Okay, great. Well, Wade, you have definitely seen, you have a long list of anime you like. What are some anime that are on your list that you would like to watch in the future?
Oh gosh. For years and years, I've always told myself I'm gonna watch One Piece, but I'm too old for that now. It's 900 episodes long. I live vicariously through my students. A bunch of them are like absolutely up to date on it, so I just kind of listen to them talk every week, like when the new episode comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, good for you all for sticking with it. Good for you all. As far as like stuff that I want to watch, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I have some stuff saved to my list on like Hulu, but I can't think of anything. Do you have something that you've been looking to watch?
Yeah, I have a couple. It's definitely, I feel like the list keeps growing. I'm like, I need to get back to it. I think one of them is one that I've honestly been trying to finish for a while, and that is Cowboy Bebop. I'm only halfway through.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. It's on my list. It's definitely at the top of my list because I've already started it. Might as well finish it. So.
It's not too long.
Yeah, no. It's just, I always find something else to watch instead, but I need to focus.
Yeah. You gotta wander sometime.
One of them that I've definitely been wanting to watch for a very long time, though, is Monster.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a special one. That's dark.
Yeah, I've had so many friends recommend it to me. I've heard lots of great things about this show. I just have to find it to watch it.
I remember one. I can't watch it yet. It's the sequel series to Inuyasha.
Oh.
Like, is it Yashahime or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I've never finished the actual Inuyasha anime. So I cannot go on to the sequel anime. I want to, it's recent. It just came out like a handful of years ago.
Oh, okay.
After all this time. But I don't deserve to watch it yet. I'm not there. Maybe someday.
Yeah. Well, I think I have one more. I'll just top off this one. Lupin the Third.
Like old school Lupin.
Yes,
oh,
like
my
very
gosh.
old school.
Well, you might as well just tack Case Closed onto that too. They're like both like right there and like good like detective mystery stuff. Oh, Lupin. I forgot about Lupin.
Yeah, I'm like, I wanna, go back to that before and just check out that anime. Yep. So I guess I have a lot of older animes on my list, but
hey,
just because they're older doesn't mean they're bad.
Not
so
at all. If they were, then we wouldn't have the anime we had today. So
exactly, and people wouldn't still be talking about them.
Right.
So. Do you have any other final words? Any recommendations for people? Anybody who is hesitant about watching anime? Any advice for them?
I have advice for people listening. If somebody close to you loves anime, watch one with them. Sit down and watch one with them. And maybe you'll fall in love with it too. I did remember something that I want to congratulate you on. Happy 20th anniversary for Kingdom Hearts this week.
Oh, yes.
We have the event later. I think it's...
Later this month?
It's somewhere, I think it's like the 10th or something. It's coming up really soon.
Yes.
Like super soon.
So exciting, yes.
So we might have to have another Kingdom Hearts anniversary episode.
Oh, I think we will. I think we'll make it happen.
And
yes.
Poor Ethan. Poor Ethan will
It'll
have
be
to sit
yes.
through it.
He'll sit through it with us this time.
He'll be drinking the whole time. He'll probably have to.
Well, yes, this is our special celebration. That is true.
Oh, yes.
What a way to end that. Yes. So, yes, we'll bring you more of that. And I think that's probably going to do it for this week's episode.
I think so.
Talking all about our favorites and ones we wish to watch, look forward to in the future, all about anime TV shows. So thanks for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast, and give us a follow on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PodDemastered, and we'll probably be sharing some stuff this week about all the anime we talked about, and you can share with us your favorite anime shows and give us some recommendations, because I'm looking for them. So check us out there, and you can also feel free to send us an email at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, thanks for listening to this week's episode, and we hope you tune in next week.
Have a great week.
Bye.